Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks, live again today, 7:30 p.m. mainland Spain, 6:30 p.m. down there in the Canary Islands. And another live stream today, go through some of the news that has caught my attention today, and also a few of the comments that were left on the video the other day. This week has been a quiet week as far as videos are concerned for me. Only done a few live streams. Been quite busy with a few other things that I've got to get out of the way. So I haven't had time to sit down and record a normal video, so I apologize for that. But this week the live streams will have to suffice. Now we're into the chat section here. Let's see what's going on. Amanda coming in from the UK, first person to open the chat today. Pat coming in from Galicia. Margaret Emma coming in from a warmer Seville today. Alan coming in, still in San Diego, missing his Cruz Campo is Alan. Chris coming in from Alora. Erica coming in from Terrassa, just made it home from work. And Tobias coming in from the south of Spain. As we know, Tobias is down there at the moment on holidays and heading back to Alabama soon, he says. Ross coming in from Albany, New York. Babs coming in from Wales. Vinny coming in where it is hailing and flooding. And Osuakat coming in from Oregon. Now, we'll have a look at the first piece of news today that caught my attention, as I said in the press. Bit of a quiet day in the press today in Spain. First piece of news today, the paradox of the tourism recovery. It boosts growth but drives up inflation. Tourism activity has had two pieces of news this summer, the good one and the bad one. The first is that at last the sector that has suffered the most from the COVID blow and took the longest to return to normality has beaten the most optimistic forecasts, signing a new season that has come to exceed in certain activities the levels of 2019. The bad news is that this high demand has allowed tourism companies to raise prices significantly, well above the general rate of inflation, which reached 10.5% in August. Last August, in the middle of the holiday season, many of the activities monitored by the INE related to tourism recorded year-on-year prices that doubled the general CPI index. So there we go. The tourism sector recovers here in Spain, but apparently adding to the high inflation, because as we know, and as we have mentioned various times over the last few months on this channel, hotels have put their prices up, bars and restaurants have put their prices up, sometimes above the official inflation rates and therefore affecting general inflation, as we know. A bumper tourist season in Spain this summer. I think, if not 2019 figures, close to. So lots of people going crazy this summer, going on holiday, as we know, heading to the coastal areas here in Spain. Not only the coastal areas, but other parts of the country as well. So a bumper year for tourism here in Spain. But as we saw, the paradox creating or adding to the high inflation, which is, as we saw there, the headline, the paradox of the situation. Now we're up to 32 likes. I'll just put the little like button up on the screen today. So if you haven't done so already, please hit the like button just below. We'll see if we can get above 50. 100 people watching at the moment. So we can see if we can get a 50% like ratio. Back into the chat. Let's see what's going on here. Jenny143, the end of summer, the last week of summer 2022. True, that is true. It's the end of summer. Mick coming in from Moreira. Gary coming in. Stan coming in from Poland. Sorry. Hello, Stu, he says. Mark Chavez coming in from Seville. Brian Carey, a regular viewer here on the channel. Old Brian coming in from Madrid, as we know. Brian, a Madrid resident. Mike Lissay coming in from New York. Remy coming in from the Netherlands. And Ubi Omniomen coming in from Pennsylvania, I think that is. Now, we'll go into the second news story for the day. We're up to 49 likes, so we'll see if we can hit that 50 mark. The second news story of the day, this one here today. Griñán's options to try to avoid jail time. The publication on Wednesday of the Supreme Court's ruling of the Andalusia case sets in motion the countdown for those sentenced to prison terms of more than 2 years to go to prison. Among them is former president of the Andalusian regional government, José Antonio Griñán, sentenced to 6 years and 2 days in prison for embezzlement I'll just read that again, 6 years and 2 days for embezzlement of public funds and 15 years disqualification for prevarication. What is that word? Prevarication, sorry. The Supreme Court has already sent the ruling to the sentencing court, the Provincial Court of Seville, for it to be enforced. The court will set a deadline of 10 days for the convicted men to appear at the prison of their choice to serve their sentence. Again, I'll repeat it, the prison of their choice. Griñán's defence will then invoke Article 4.4 of the Penal Code to suspend his client's entry into prison while his request for pardon is being processed. So as we know, Mr. Griñán facing 6 years and 2 days in prison there for the ERE case down in Andalusia, which was a case that went on, or an embezzlement case that went on for around 10 years down there in Andalusia, some 680 million euros of public money misspent, while Mr. Griñán was in a position of authority down there. I think he was maybe the finance minister of the Andalusian government. He then went on to become the premier of Andalusia, but I think the majority of these problems took place while he was in a different role, not president. Mr. Chavez was the president back then. 680 million, I think it was, euros that was badly spent on these ERE or training courses and things like that. And of course, now 6 years in prison. He's trying to get off. He doesn't want to go. And his family has appealed to the government for him to be pardoned, like other people in the past that have been pardoned for their bad activity when it comes to managing public finances. And Mr. Griñán, going to be difficult apparently, because it's quite a heavy sentence there, 6 years and 2 months. And of course, I read that it's going to be difficult for him to get off, but he's going to appeal, and we'll see what the story is there. But the Supreme Court, as we saw there, ruling or setting the or making public, the ruling down there. So things not looking good for Mr. Griñán, but there is talk that the current government will, in fact, pardon Mr. Griñán. So we'll see what happens there. All right, what else is going on here in the chat section? Tobias has noticed kids going to school in their uniforms today. Renee, school's been back for a couple of weeks, at least here in Madrid, Tobias, not sure in Andalusia. John coming in from Nerja. Renee coming in from Texas. Gary coming in from a 22-degree day in New York. Sam Sevilla coming in from Seville at the moment. Athena coming in from the Philippines. Elaine coming in from New Jersey. Dave coming in from Madrid. St. Pete to Madrid. Dave. Diablo coming in from Granada. Thanks for the email the other day, Diablo, showing me the two people breaking or trying to break into somebody's house down there in Granada, I imagine it was. Michelle coming in from Clacton-on-Sea. And what else we got? Chris saying that he's just paid 123 euros for a double night, for a double room in Puerto Banús. Is that expensive? It seems so. Not sure, because I haven't been to a hotel in Puerto Banús for a while, Chris, but if anybody has better information on the prices of a hotel down there, please let him know if that is expensive or not. Now, we're up to 63 likes. I'll just put the little like icon back up on the screen again. So if you haven't hit that like button, please do so just below. And we'll see if we can get up to 100 likes today. Probably be difficult the way the viewer count is going at the moment, but we'll see. I'm optimistic. Third piece of news that we'll have a look at today. The economy weakens and recession looms in Spain, according to Expansión, which is the leading or one of the leading economy newspapers or publications here in Spain. The latest growth figures are quite positive, with GDP up 1.1% between April and June, but this could be the economy's swan song before a sudden cooling, given what awaits it around the corner in autumn, when the exhaustion of the tourist push will be added to the consequences of the rising gas prices following the closure of Russian supplies and the increasingly evident effects of the rise in interest rates, which will penalise both consumption and construction. In fact, the Funcas panel, which is a think tank, published yesterday estimates that GDP will barely grow by 0.1% in the third quarter and will contract by 0.2 of a percentage point in the fourth quarter. Added to this is the hot autumn predicted by the trade unions, which could aggravate the slowdown in employment that has been experienced since July. So as we know, the unions threatening strike action in the autumn months come October, November. They want basically wages or salaries to be increased. The government seems to be a little bit reluctant to do that, so the unions have threatened to take to the streets, which is unusual with the current government that we have in power, because normally the unions don't complain when the current government is in power. They normally hit the streets when the opposition party is in power, or at least that's been my experience over the last 20 years or so. Normally when we have a PSOE government here in Spain, the unions are very quiet, hush-hush, but when the PP hits, they hit the streets in force. In fact, a lot of the general strikes have been with the PP in power, or at least in the 20 or so years that I have been living here. I could be wrong, and if I am, please let me know. But normally, as I said, when the PSOE government is in power, the trade unions are quiet. So we'll see if indeed they do hit the streets. But according to Expansión there, as we have just seen, the economy not looking good in Spain for the final quarter of the year and the first quarter of 2022, no doubt, as Mr. Putin closes that gas pipeline or the gas supply to Europe, which is what he's threatening to do. And the plan B for Europe is, I don't know what the plan B is at the moment. It's going to be a tough winter, as we saw, and that no doubt, as we also saw there, will drive prices up. Now, what else we got going on? Alan coming in from England. The blue screen, question mark. Hola amigos. Doesn't like the blue screen, does Alan? What else we got going on here? D coming in. Can I recommend a real estate agent in Nerja? No, sorry, not me. John Nelson, can he recommend? Or anybody else who is in Nerja, can they recommend a real estate agent down there? What else we got going on? Ray coming in. Hello, Ray. Hope all is well. Any chance of excess rain for the Med Coast? Not sure. We had a fair bit of rain here over the last few days in Madrid. What's the day today? Thursday, there was a bit of rain this morning. Tuesday as well. Yesterday was a nice day, but we've had some rain here. Not sure what's happening for the Med Coast. I have no doubt that rain will hit soon. So be patient down there on the Med. Bob and Jill coming in from Torrevieja. Simon coming in from Toulouse, France. A campsite down there. Grace coming in from northwest England. So plenty of activity in the chat section today, which is good to see. Now we're up to 79 likes. I'll hit the like button again here. So hit the like button just below the video if you have not done so already. We'll see if we can get it over the 100 mark today. Let's see what's happening with the likes and the participation today. All right, the next piece of news, the final piece of news we'll look at is this one here today. The fight against narcotics in the Strait of Gibraltar will last a long time, according to El País. These are bad times for the Andalusian narcos, or drug traffickers. Those who are not in prison are awaiting more or less imminent trials. The misfortune of many of the traffickers in the Strait of Gibraltar has had an acronym and surname during these 4 years, OCON South, or OCON South, since it was created in 2018 as a response to the outrage of caches in the Campo de Gibraltar, the coordination body against drug trafficking of the Civil Guard has become one of the great scourges against the transport of hashish from Morocco. Now the Ministry of the Interior has decided to restructure this unit, created in principle on a temporary basis, in order to break it up into different command posts in Andalusia and make it stable over time. So the Civil Guard getting serious about drug trafficking in that part of Spain. As we know, in that the area around Gibraltar, some small towns are seriously affected by drug trafficking. People that live in that area will obviously have seen the police presence down there, and it's only going to get more and more. It's only going to get larger and larger as the years go by. As I said, the Interior Ministry and the Civil Guard getting serious. And basically what the Civil Guard is doing is they're sending all of their elite forces down there to try to tackle the problem of drug trafficking of all of that Moroccan hash that enters that part of Spain. As we know, the boats are a constant coming in. non-stop to that part of Spain. And of course it is a problem for the society, a problem for the communities living down in that part of Spain, and the Interior Ministry deciding that they're going to take it more seriously and setting up permanent commands of the Civil Guard in that part of Spain. All right, good. Now back into the chat section here. What else we got going on? Also, D is asking about Torrevieja, so looking to buy property in Spain, no doubt, is T. Duncan coming in from London, off to Madrid in 2 weeks. Can't wait. Hope you have a good time, Duncan, here in Madrid. Kathleen coming in from St Andrews in Scotland. Cool sea breeze, a north sea breeze there today. What else we got going on here? Let me have a look. Remy putting a comment out here. We'll put this one on the screen. Ryanair has announced this Thursday its calendar for the winter season from Compostela Airport to travel to different destinations, 10 of them international. So good news for Galician people that want to travel internationally from Santiago de Compostela. Thank you very much for sharing that. Stephen coming in from Manilva. Loving Spain at the moment is Stephen. Enjoying the weather down there, obviously, in Manilva down there in Andalusia. Michelle coming in. Why is it taking so long to get a non-lucrative visa in London? Not sure whether it was you the other day, Michelle, but somebody else said that there are serious delays with the Spanish consulate in the UK, also with the Spanish embassy, I think, because there has been strike action leading up to summer. Not sure if it's still taking place today, the strike action, not sure. But in the months leading up to summer, I think June, July, there were people on strike working for the consulates there in the United Kingdom, and that's no doubt the reason why it's taking so long, I would say. Then again, that's just my opinion. Janet off to Cornwall for a week shortly. Hope you have a good trip, Janet. Hope you enjoy it. Philip back in Malaga after a quick trip to Granada. Enjoyed a Madrid beer, El Águila 1900 unfiltered. Unfortunately, never seen that in Malaga. The beer chat rears its ugly head again today. Yeah, El Águila. I think it's made by the brewing company. I think it's by the Cruzcampo. No, sorry, the Heineken Group, I think, is in charge of that beer, I think. But again, if anybody knows better, please let me know in the chat section. I think it is, because I have seen it here in a few bars in Madrid. Águila. What else we got going on? City fan coming in from Barcelona. And Bob is recommending in Torrevieja real estate agents that speak English. So there we go. All right, good. Now, let's have a look at what's going on here. 97 likes. I'll put the little like icon back on the screen. See if we can get over the 100 mark today. Just below, hit it if you can. The first comment from the other day's video we'll take a look at now from Philip. I find that an odd decision, says Philip, to cap certain foodstuffs, as surely the supermarkets will just make the uncapped items more expensive to make up the shortfall? Question mark. Most likely, Philip, that is the plan that supermarkets have. As we saw the other day, the second Vice President, Yolanda Díaz, is pushing for a food stuffs cap. She wants the supermarkets on board with this. The Prime Minister also came out yesterday, didn't really support her, but said that the retailers and food producers need to shoulder the cost, not pass it on to consumers. Interesting comments from the Prime Minister. So we're sort of stuck between those two theories, whether or not they need to shoulder the cost or whether or not there needs to be some type of food cap. But I think, Philip, you would be right in your assumption there that other things will go up if there is a cap on certain products. So, for example, if they cap chicken, let's say, or if they cap eggs, or if they cap milk, other prices will go up in order to compensate, because, as we know, businessmen are not there to lose money, regardless of what governments say at the end of the day. So should the producers in the supermarkets shoulder the cost, take a hit? Interesting debate. We can have that another day, but that's what the government is hoping, or at least the Prime Minister is hoping that people will do, that they take a hit. They take a hit and keep prices low when it comes to supermarket costs, and not pass on the real costs to consumers. So again, interesting to see whether or not that takes place or not. All right, good. Back into the chat section. What else is going on here? Elaine's saying that they dodged a rail strike in the US today. Luckily, we haven't had a rail strike in Spain for a while, I don't think. There have been some in the past which are nightmares. Anonymous function, travelling to Spain soon. Asking about what is an effective way to learn Spanish for a day-to-day communication. Well, basically, the idea, I think, Anonymous, would be to get amongst the population and practice as much as you can. Try to pick up a few basic expressions and then put them into practice when you are here. That is what I would do. But there are different online solutions. The one that I mentioned the other day, Busu, I think, is a good way to learn a language nowadays, to pick up some handy phrases, to learn Spanish through the news as well. So you can check those out. And on the other day, there were a few other suggestions as well. I think somebody said Duolingo, I think. But there are plenty of apps out there and plenty of ways to learn Spanish. But when you get to Spain, face-to-face communication with people, trying to practice your Spanish the best and the most you can. Okay, that would be my suggestion. But if anybody has any other suggestions for anonymous function, in the chat section. Okay. All right, good. What else is going on here in the comment section from the other day? From Tim. Parts of Spain are ideally suited to have large numbers of solar panels. Parts of Murcia, for example. There is also the possibility of having numerous offshore wind turbines off the coast of Galicia and Asturias. For me, renewables are the blindingly obvious and eco-friendly way to go. So Tim putting his ideas out there. That was the debate that we saw yesterday. The leader of one of the opposition parties, Vox, called on the Prime Minister to have a referendum on nuclear energy here in Spain, allow Spaniards to decide whether or not they want to continue with nuclear energy, or as the current government has planned to shut all nuclear activity down by 2035. So Mr. Abascal calling or asking the Prime Minister to have a referendum. The Prime Minister said that that's not going to happen. They're going to stick to their guns, shut down nuclear, and the future for energy in Spain, he said, is the obvious solution, which is sun. Okay, sun, I think, is the obvious solution. He said that we need to take advantage of Spain's assets. So as we saw there in that comment, wind in the north of Spain and sun in the rest of the country, the obvious solution. But as we know, Spain was set back probably a decade by the solar tax that was in place for a few years, probably 4 or 5 years that was in place, maybe longer, where there was no incentive for people to put solar panels on their roofs. In fact, it was detrimental to the industry, and now they're trying to make up ground and get everybody into solar panels, which could work. There is plenty of sun in Spain, and if you manage to set it up correctly, I think it could be a solution, at least to people's electricity bills, to go solar. But of course, not everybody lives in a house in Spain. The majority live in flats. So you have to get the whole community on board, which can be difficult to do. It's difficult to put a lift into some buildings or an elevator into some buildings, let alone get solar panels on the roofs. But the government's plan is to have this transition period where communal buildings, for example, flats and apartments, do get solar panels on the roofs. And hopefully that will, in the future, get people's energy bills down. But it's going to take a while. And as I said, that Impuesto al Sol, or the sun tax, really did set the country back quite a while when it comes to solar energy, I think. But the potential is there. But it's not going to solve any of the problems short term, unfortunately. All right, what else we got going on here? B. Smith in the comment section. Just got back after 3 weeks of a food tour in Spain. Seeing the Spanish government won't let me have dual passports. Have to wait for an Irish one before I can move more permanently. Get the Irish passport if you can. And as we know, that will allow you to move freely around the European Union. And I don't think there is dual citizenship rights with... Well, I know there's not with Australia, and obviously here saying that there's not with the UK either. So a bit of an inconvenience there. All right, what else we got going on? Yogi coming in. Weather cooling in the UK, says Yogi. Cooling down here as well. We might get a little bit of a hot spell before the weather changes. The Veranito de San Miguel, as they call it here, the San Miguel summer, which normally comes, I think, at the end of September. So we'll wait and see if that is the case. In Seville, says Janet, schools went back on Monday. schools went back in Madrid. When did they go back? On the 7th or the 8th of September. So going back a few weeks now. What else we got going on? Muggers coming in here from El Campello. Hola todos. And Remy reminding people to hit the like button. And I'll do that again while I'm here to remind people to hit the like button. Just below there. Just below the video, hit the like button, and we'll see if we can get up to around 140, 150 today. If you have not hit the like button yet, please do so. It keeps me motivated as I go through the news in the comments here. Lorenzo coming in from South London. French air traffic control on strike today. Not good news there, Lorenzo. Rose Pedal coming in from London and Outdoor Chilled coming in from Barcelona. All right, good. Yeah, talking about the elite guards that are being sent to Andalusia. All right, good. Sending the elite guards, I imagine the elite civil guards, to deal with that problem down there in the south. Of course, the elite civil guards were for many years posted in the Basque Country here in Spain. That is where the elite units were sent, and now they're being sent to the other war, the war on drugs down there in the south of the country. So interesting to see what will happen down there with regard to the drug problem in the south of Spain. Now, another comment. Let's have a look at this one here from Joy. Good news. It's raining after such a dry spring and summer. Bad news. It's raining for the local fiesta. Thanks for your continuance. Hugs, Joy from Galicia. Yeah, Galicia, as we know, seriously affected by drought at the moment. But bad news for some people there in Gallego, in Galicia. That's the Gallegos, that when the local fiestas begin, the local town parties, the rain comes. But I'm sure people in Galicia are used to that, because as we know, it is traditionally one of the rainiest parts of Spain, Galicia. I spent a month in Galicia many, many years ago, and I think it rained for 25 or 26 days of that month. So it is green Spain, as we know, but unfortunately experiencing a severe drought this summer, or this year up there in Galicia. But hopefully the skies will open, and that part of Spain again will become, as I said, the green Spain. Hopefully that will be the case. All right, back into the chat section here. What else we got going on? Thunderduck, Randy, back. Randy, hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. They're in Portugal. Mark, Heineken Group brew Cruzcampo. I think it's also this group as well. I'm not sure. I think it's the Heineken Group, but don't correct me whether El Aguilar beer is Heineken Group or not. I think it is. They have another beer called Amstel. So if that's the same group, it's the Amstel Aguilar in the same group, I believe. So if that is the Heineken Group that also brew Cruzcampo, please let me know. I believe it to be the case. The other big brewer here in Spain is Mau San Miguel. Mau San Miguel, and the Heineken breweries control the other main beers in Spain. All right, what else we got going on here? Amanda asking the question, are the Spanish people bothered about the Queen's passing? Is it prominent in the news? Just curious. The answer to that question, Amanda, is yes. It is very prominent in the news. In fact, every newspaper is still focused on the Queen's passing. The ceremony, the funeral services are still dominating the press. Not sure how long that will be the case for, but obviously it is major news all around the world, not only here in Spain, but I imagine most European countries are also concentrating on that news at the moment. And watching the BBC yesterday, seeing how many people are queuing up to pay their final respects to Queen Elizabeth II. So, yeah, here in Spain it is dominating the press, at least the written press, not necessarily the television news anymore. Maybe you get a brief story on it, but the newspapers are still opening their pages or their online pages with news about that, and of course other things that are happening around the royal family in the United Kingdom. For example, King Charles's turn yesterday, where he got a little bit angry because or maybe it was the day before, but that made the press here as well, when Prince Charles got a little bit angry because he got ink on his fingers and got the days confused. So that also made the press here as well. All right, good. Thanks for the comment there, Amanda. Pablo coming in from Menorca, Spain. Iron Horse saying we don't care about the Queen. Not everybody does, but some people do, so we have to respect people's opinions there. Thunderduck saying that prices in Portugal have not gone up very much, at least things that they buy. Good to see, Thunderduck, that is not the case. I'm not sure what the inflationary situation is in Portugal at the moment, but when I was there in the summer, it was hovering around the 9% mark, I think, as well. All right, what else we got going on? Let's have a look here in the chat section, see if we can find another chat to bring out. Let's see. Tarath coming in from Aurora in Denver County, apparently. Miguel coming in from Derbyshire, and other people waiting for Spanish citizenship, still waiting. I was speaking to somebody yesterday who has been waiting for Spanish citizenship for 7 years. 7 years, she told me that she put in the paperwork and still waiting. So not sure whether there's a hold up in the system or not, but seems to be 7 years seems to be a long time to have to wait for citizenship to Spain, in my opinion. All right, we'll have a look at another comment here today from the other day. I'll be curious to hear about to hear comments on the HBO 3-part series of Saving the King. Very revealing on the private life of King Juan Carlos I. Yeah, I didn't know that there was an HBO series on former King Juan Carlos I on HBO. I went to the HBO website and checked it out, and you're right, 3-part series. Starts off obviously talking about his youth in exile. I think he lived in Portugal when he was younger, maybe in Italy as well. Came to Spain, of course, towards the end of Franco's life, came to Spain towards the end of that. And the rest is history, as we know. So an interesting, we'll see what the feedback is. But like I said, haven't seen too much publicity about it here in Spain. So not sure whether it's going to be a popular documentary series or not, documenting the former king's life. Which, as we know, has been a little bit controversial in recent times. And every day there seems to be some type of story in the press, either against or for Emeritus King Juan Carlos, who, as we know, was invited to the funeral of Queen Elizabeth in London next week, I believe. So, and he's going to use that as a stepping stone back into public life, apparently. So we'll see how that goes. All right, good. What else we got going on here in the chat section? Makish 10 hasn't been here for a while. Likes the bright setup. Would be good to get a beach in there too. Stu, says Makish. Your request is my command. As we know, we go through some of the viewers' photos or pics of Spain that people send me, and we've had a few over the last few days. This one here from Angela of Menorca, I believe. So we have a nice blue sea there in the background, a few hotel resorts there, a few apartment blocks of Menorca. So there we go, Makish, a nice beach scene in the background. Unfortunately, I'm in the middle of it. Nothing I can do about that, because the final comment that we have is asking me about my green screen, and I'll address that issue in a minute. All right, good. Miguel asking, have I considered wearing a suit like a newsreader? The answer to that is no, Miguel. I am an anti-suit guy, anti-suit, anti-tie. I only put one on if I have to wear one. For example, if I go to a wedding here in Spain where suits are required, or if I go to a funeral where suits are required, the only time that you'll see me in a suit, or if I have some type of business deal that I have to do, maybe at a bank, and I need to wear a suit. But for the rest of the time, I'm a t-shirt guy, I'm a casual shirt guy, I'm a shorts guy. In fact, for the majority of the year, if I can get away with it, shorts and a t-shirt, which is what I've got on here at the moment. But definitely not a suit guy, Miguel. Ian coming in from Poole, Dorset. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. Now, what else we got going on here in the chat section? Plenty of activity, so I'll come back to that in a minute, because I've got a question about my new green screen, which is what I'm using to put these different images up on the in the background. And it's this one here from Andrew. Hi, Stuart. How big is your green background? Does it cover the whole, or does it cover or only cover the perimeter of the room. I wonder, come Christmas time, can you project a live photo of a fireplace with logs burning, making it a Christmas feeling? Keep up the good work. Cheers. Thanks, Andrew. Now, I'll address this question here because I didn't know that green screens were so complicated. There's a huge things that you need to do before you get a decent green screen up in the background. It's not as simple as just putting something green in the background. You've got to get the lighting correct. You've got to get all of the wrinkles out of the green screen as well. So a little bit complicated. But basically, my green screen is from one side of the wall to the other, probably about 3 meters. Well, the green screen, 3 meters, I would say, 2.5 to 3 meters. And that's what I'm using at the moment to put these images here on the green screen. Yeah. So basically what happens is that there's a whole series of pictures. You can put any type of picture you want up. So for example, the one that I had before, which was just like a blue background. I've also got, for example, you can put a home office up there as well if you want to give the look that you're in a home office. You can select different backdrops. So yes, I could put a picture of a fire at Christmas time, Andrew. Here we have a tropical setup as well. So there's different backgrounds that I can put up thanks to my green screen at the moment. This one here, which is cherries in the background as well. But the ones that I'm using are more of a neutral look, which is this one here, because when you have an image with a lot of things in the background, it can put people off what's going on in the video. So that's why I put the pictures up towards the end of the video rather than at the beginning. But the one that we had here, I'll just put it back up, from Angela, as we can see here. Menorca, I think it was. Maybe Mallorca, but I think it was Menorca, if I remember correctly. A nice beach scene there in the summer months. And we had another picture here from Adrian, which was... Oh, we saw this one the other day. Sorry, that was from Adrian the other day. But we had this one here from John, which is in Madrid, a place called El Escorial, which is up in the Madrid Sierra. It's a monastery, I think, up there in El Escorial. So this picture is taken from there. So as we can see, that's an image of the Madrid mountains, the Madrid Sierra, which Brian in the chat section knows very, very well. As it is one of his favorite places, the Madrid Sierra. So there we go. So the sky's the limit when it comes to backdrops from now on. I've got rid of the black background. I can bring it back in because I can just put an image up here of a black background. So really there's no limits to what I can do here with the background. And I'm encouraging people to send me pictures of Spain. So for example, the one that we see here from John, El Escorial. We saw the other day one from Adrian, which was Cuenca. We saw one from Gino, which was Toledo. And the one that we saw before from Angela, which was a beach in Menorca. So please send your pics to spainspeaks@gmail.com. I'll check them out and I'll put them in the background if you have a nice picture of Spain, which I'm sure people do. So, yeah. Now I'll just go back into the chat section today. Amanda's talking about the royal family there, about Charles, whether it will pan out. We'll see what happens regarding the royal family. I don't want to mention too much at the moment. Thunder Duck has contributed a super chat, 20 euros. Thank you very much for that, Randy. And the quote here, and God said to Stuart, come forth and you shall be granted eternal life. But Stuart came forth and won a toaster. Okay, there we go. Sorry, Stuart came fifth and won a toaster. So a bit of comedy there from Randy. As I said, Randy, hope you're doing well there in Portugal. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. What else we got going on here? Outdoor chilled and wood fuel are almost sold out, preparing for a cold winter. I have heard that is the case. Outdoor chilled, people are preparing for a cold winter, stocking up on various heating methods, wood and things like that. Pellets are also sold out. Heating units are sold out. So people preparing for the worst, not only here in Spain, but I imagine all around Europe at the moment. So that's what we've got to look forward to, unfortunately, this winter. Now we're up to the 40-minute mark. I'm going to cut the live stream short. Thank you very much for your participation today. Thank you very much for your chats in the chat section. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for hitting the like button. And don't forget to send those pics in if you've got a nice pic of Spain. I've had some really good ones sent in, I'll tell you that. spainspeaks@gmail.com. Send those in and I'll put them up in the background like this one that I have here, or the one that we saw before, which was a nice beach scene from Menorca, from Angela, this one here. So send them in and have a chance to get your pictures up on the backdrop here. So thank you very much, as I said, for watching. I'll be back again on Sunday for another live stream. Maybe I'll put a video out on Saturday. It depends on the schedule and depending on what the weather's like outside. If it's raining, obviously no, but if it's a nice sunny autumn day, I'll do an outdoor video again. So stay tuned for that one. Have a good rest of the day. Hasta luego, hasta entonces.